Across the country, behind closed doors, we British are building. We're building up, down and out to improve our homes.
You know, will we get planning permission?
I've got reservations.
But before we build, we need permission. Permission from the planners. A bunch of people dedicated to protecting our public spaces and neighbourhoods.
I think in its present state, it possibly isn't quite acceptable.
So, if you've ever wanted a bigger kitchen, an extra bedroom or an ensuite bathroom, stand by. It's time to plan it, build it. Britain is a crowded country. Most of us live in flats, terraces or semi-detached homes right next door to other families. One homeowner's desire to extend their living space may adversely affect their neighbour's quality of life, so a big part of any planner's job is weighing up these conflicting interests for present and future residents.
There are some upsetting circumstances surrounding people and their planning process, but at the end of the day the individual can move on, but the buildings always remain.
So today's programme is all about how planners protect the rights of your neighbours. Is it possible to get the extension you want without upsetting those you live closest to? The planners will meet a couple who mistakenly think their plans won't cause a problem.
We don't envisage any major problems. The actual character of the house and the area won't really be affected that much.
I have got to say that I've got major concerns.
And a family with very little room for manoeuvre.
In my mind, I feel like it's going to be amazing.
Your extension, it may need to actually be shortened.
Can our families get the space they want without ruining the lives of their neighbours? And how much will their extensions add to the value of their homes? Welcome to St Leonards-on-Sea, once a popular Victorian resort. St Leonards sits next door to Hastings but has a completely separate identity. It boasts a mix of grand Regency buildings and small terraced houses, some shabby, some chic. The average price paid is $159,000, but semi-detached houses can cost anywhere between $150,000 and £500,000 depending on which street you live in. Hastings Council have planner Carol Boydell, a lady who not only loves the area but is dedicated to protecting both the buildings and the people who live in them.
I've got an application here. It's for a new side extension.
Shane and Marie Dove were born and bred in the area. They've lived in their Victorian terraced house at the top of town for 9 years and bought it for $115,000. But with 2 growing children, they are desperate for a bigger kitchen and an additional bedroom. They've weighed up their options and decided extending is by far their best bet.
We did look at possibly moving house and going to a bigger house, but the cost of moving house and all the fees that are involved, we sort of said, hang on a minute, if we spent that much on our house, we could sort of make it really work for us. And the key thing for us is location, and this house has got, for us, the perfect location.
It's close to my nan and it's close to my school, so I like living here. And when these guys turn it over to me, it'll be all redone and posh and fancy.
Ooh, little Ian is planning a long way ahead, but his parents are looking for more immediate benefits.
It's really going to mean a lot to get the plan permission through so we can actually go forward, and it will literally improve our lives on a daily basis.
Getting planning permission will be a massive boost for the Doves, but Carol has to watch out for anything which may have a negative impact on those living nearby.
They're going to extend out into this little courtyard area up to the boundary wall, widening the kitchen to make a nice large kitchen, and then in the roof they're putting a dormer to create a large master bedroom in the attic. Need to have a look and see if there's any loss of outlook, because if the neighbouring property has got a rear return, then where the new extension is, there'll be a wall there and it'd be like a long tunnel.
The Doves think moving would cost them about 25 grand, and that doesn't include the higher mortgage repayments and bills. So they plan to put the same amount, 25 to 30 grand, into their renovations.
We're doing the improvements to the house with the loans. Obviously, it's a set amount, and obviously it's got to stay within that budget because we've only got that amount. So we obviously do as best as we can to stick to it, and if we need to scale back a bit or take some things out, then we might have to.
We don't envisage any major problems. It's not a massive change. The actual character of the house and the area won't really be affected that much, so we're hopeful that the council will, you know, see it in our favour.
Wait, not so far, Shane. Carol has concerns.
There could be quite a loss of privacy there from that window there. Because it's serving a bedroom, it's likely to have clear glazing. And if a window is within 20 metres of another window, there's a possibility there for refusal. I don't know, it might be OK. It's really difficult to tell on paper, and that's why we carry out site visits.
The Doves' dreams of a bigger living space will hinge on what Carol sees when she conducts her site visit. If their extension has an adverse impact on the neighbours, they might have to leave an area they love. The government has recently relaxed rules on planning in an effort to boost the building trade. But more applications mean more disputes between neighbours. Coventry may be a city of peace and reconciliation, but planners here face all the same problems.
OK, today we're going to do a site visit in Woberley, which is a district of Coventry. It's actually a ward, and it's out in the western suburbs of the city.
Woberley is a crowded Coventry suburb where space is at a premium. In the Second World War, the area was used to house barrage balloons. But after the war, it underwent a period of rapid expansion. It's now a thriving suburb with rows of neat terraced homes and good facilities. The average price of a 3-bed terrace is £155,000, which is very good value when you consider a similar property in nearby Waynebody would cost about 50 grand more. Woberley is a place people like to settle and put down roots. A large percentage of residents here have lived in their homes for more than 20 years. Coventry Council's Richard Sykes is dedicated to maintaining the harmonious character of the area.
I think part of our job is very, very much this balancing act between different competing aspirations. What they're wanting to do, their building or their use or their business, might actually have a negative impact on people who live in the area or next door to them.
Paul and Paula Carmichael live in a 3-bed Woberley home. They bought it 8 years ago for £153,000, and they urgently need planning approval to open up their space and provide more room for them and little Dexter.
Well, we've got a budget in mind. It's somewhere in the region of £20,000.
Yeah.
So that's really our top point. That's where we really want to go to, and no more than that.
So at the moment, there's 2 entry points from the front door. You can either come straight into the kitchen or you can go into our dining room. When the extension's done, the idea would be this door here would be a door to a toilet. And you could only enter into the kitchen through the dining room door.
Like many modern families, the Carmichaels want an open-plan kitchen and living area which would extend out into the garden. But when it came to putting their plans together, they had no idea what was and what wasn't possible.
We thought we could extend all the way to the end of where our kitchen is at the moment and our utility room. But then when we spoke to the architect, they were like, well, you can't really do that because of we'd be going over our neighbour's extension, we'd be going out too far. We thought, oh, because the house stops there at the moment, we thought we could just extend to that part. So this would be essentially a family area. The extension then would go out and we'd have a dining table where the decking is at the moment, and then the kitchen would then go round.
Paula's biggest wish is to get rid of her galley kitchen, and she's already started to fantasise about its replacement.
With the new extension, the sink would be up here. I'd be looking into the garden, and it would go round into a U shape here, and then you'd walk like from here into the dining area. So it'd be quite nice. You could chop here. You can see Dexter there, maybe doing his homework or over there playing. Maybe have a little TV or radio going. So Like, in my mind, I feel like it's going to be amazing, but it's just getting there, really.
We've saved for a long time to get this extension started, and I think now that we've started the process, really it's just that anxiousness of really wanting to get it completed.
I feel like I want to get it done. I don't want to hang around. I feel like, right, we've done the planning, let's just keep moving on it and get this dream on the road.
Paul and Paula's hopes for their extension depend on what Richard sees when he conducts an all-important site inspection. In Hastings, it's a big day for the Doves. Carol is here to perform her crucial site visit, and this will go a long way towards deciding whether they get the space they want.
Hello, Mr. Dove. I'm Carol Boydell. I'm the case officer for the planning application.
Nice to meet you. I'm Shane.
Is it OK to come in and have a look? That's lovely. Thank you. Thank you.
What Shane and Marie don't know is that Carol has concerns about the impact of their plans on the neighbours, which could spell disaster for their dream of extending and ultimately staying in lovely St Leonard's.
Right, OK. First of all, what I'll need to do is go outside and have a look, because this is where the extension's going. You're removing this part, is that right?
Yeah, removing that.
And then extending that one out to the boundary wall there. All right, shall we go outside and have a look? OK, thank you.
It's a big moment for the Doves. If Carol thinks their planned extension is overbearing, they might have to shelve their plans for a new kitchen.
Even already, I have got to say that I've got major concerns about that loss of light there. Because also another thing that I'd have concerns about would be, if you can imagine the wall being there in place, it would be almost like a tunnel when you view it from that window. The crazy thing is you can have a boundary wall up to 2 metres in height, so that would restrict a certain amount of light. So I'd take that into account, but still a little bit nervous about it.
Carol's concern is a classic problem for planners, and it's something they always look out for. Tunnelling, in planner speak, occurs when one extension is allowed to push out too far and comes too close to an adjoining extension, reducing the neighbour's outlook and often enclosing them in darkness.
They know about the...
Yes. Yeah,
well, we have written to them, but have they seen the plans, do you know? OK, and they're not concerned about any...
No, I mean, before we even started to think exactly what we wanted to do, because we got on with them really well, we said, you know, we're thinking of doing something. We told them right from the start, because obviously that was something that we'd considered as well, because the sun comes from that direction, so it does hit the back of the house. I think they are quite keen to do something on their side as well. So
they're talking to our builder, and it's looking possible that we might be doing it together.
It would obviously help if they were doing the same as you.
Yes.
But the thing is they could submit an application, and you could resubmit yours, and then they might not carry out the works. I have refused an application before because of that. So I'm fairly confident, not that I want to refuse it, but, you know, I have got to think of your neighbours. So I'll have a look at the dormer, but like I say, I haven't got so many concerns. If I can go further down, thank you.
Ouch. It's a hammer blow for Shane and Marie, but hopefully Carol won't have such a big problem with their proposed dormer.
I'm looking at the moment just to see the impact. I'm not overly concerned because of the rear returns here. On both sides, it's really quite well hidden. The dormer extension will probably be OK. It's just a shame, that extension, but I've got to think of the occupants of this property here. So what we'll do is I'll give you a call tomorrow. I'll have a look at the plans again, have another rethink and work out what I think would be your best way forward.
Ooh, best not tell little Ian.
I'll see whether there's a way of tweaking the extension, or if not, I'll discuss with you about the best way forward with your neighbour. OK?
Lovely.
All right. Well, thank you very much for showing me around. All right. Thank you. Nice to see you. All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
A little bit disappointing, I think, because we thought, well...
We thought that the kitchen extension would go through fine, and there might be problems with the loft, and it's turned out the other way round. And for us, the main thing is having this main family room and this kitchen extension.
If they're wanting to carry out the works all in one go, it's probably in their best interest to withdraw it at this stage and then look at whether there's a possibility of doing something with the neighbour.
A little bit sort of nervous about it, but we're still hopeful that we'll be able to get it done. But obviously we just need to maybe tweak a few things.
It's really hard giving bad news. Fortunately, they took it very well. Not everybody takes it quite so well. But, you know, you can see it's you know, the family of 4 and they need the space. So I can understand that.
In Coventry, Richard is about to arrive at the Carmichaels for his make or break site visit. If he spots anything which could impact on the neighbouring properties, it will spell disaster for the Carmichaels' plans to improve their home.
Hi.
Oh, hello, is it Mrs. Carmichael?
Yeah, nice
Hiya,
to meet
I'm
you.
Richard from the Planning Office at the City Council.
Okay, so what we're thinking is to extend this room back so that it adjoins onto the kitchen. One big square room.
Oh, okay, right, yeah, okay. I'll just need to take a couple of photos looking back, just for the record.
Yeah.
But the main things I'll need to do is just try and find out where the neighbours' properties are in terms of their windows, and
Okay.
then I can gauge whether it's going to have any significant impact on them or not.
Okay.
Well, this is all fairly routine stuff that we do, yeah.
Planners are duty-bound to follow the guidelines laid down by local councils and central government. So Richard needs to watch out for anything which goes against planning policy and which might harm the rights of people living close to the extension.
So these, I mean, these kitchens, I guess they were built as part of the original houses, and they're quite narrow, aren't they?
Yeah.
So I think it's quite a typical sort of extension to actually come out and widen it out a bit.
It's quite common in this area. A lot of the neighbours have done the same thing.
Yeah, I imagine they would have, yeah. I've got all of the measurements. I'll just be a few minutes out here. I'll take a few photos if that's okay.
Okay,
But,
yeah.
Great.
Keep you from getting frozen.
No problem.
Okay,
Thanks.
all right.
Now that Richard's alone, he can get a true measure of the impact of the Carmichaels extension.
So it's a 3.3 metre extension, so we'll just kind of get our bearings in terms of where it's coming to. That's effectively where the extension would be coming to. Now, the neighbour on this side is entitled to, you know, a view or some protection from having too much built along this boundary, because otherwise it would affect the light and their outlook. Is there an issue with tunnelling? That's one of the things we'd need to consider.
Oh dear, this sounds very familiar.
Probably what we'd be looking for is either for the extension to be stepped in off the boundary so it gives some more breathing space to this house here, or for the extension to be shortened.
Richard's worried about the neighbours' loss of light and outlook. It's vital he protects their rights as well as the Carmichaels.
Just had you know, fairly routine look around. There's one issue that I will just need to check, something we call tunnelling, which is whether they're effectively going to be tunnelled by extensions on both sides. Now, if tunnelling exists, then the worst case scenario is that your extension, it may need to actually be shortened or to be set off the boundary. So that's the assessment, and that's what our guidelines are saying. So at this point, we've written to your neighbours, so we need to just see what comments they may or may not come in with, and then, you know, that's once we've done that, that'll be you know, when we start thinking about making the decision.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks for your time, and nice to meet you all.
Nice to meet you, Richard.
All right.
Yeah, thanks, Richard.
Take care.
Thanks a
Cheers,
lot.
then.
Cheers.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Richard will have to think long and hard about the potential impact of Paul and Paula's extension. He also has to wait 21 days to see if any neighbours object to the proposals. This will seem like a lifetime to the Carmichaels.
I think if we were refused, we'd be disappointed, particularly because a lot of our neighbours have done the same extension. But I feel like now we're going through the planning process, it's like we've made that first jump, and it's like now it feels like it's a lot a closer dream, or like you know, it's more like it's going to be happening.
In Hastings, the Doves have had their own issues with tunnelling, but have desperately tried to alter their plans in a bid to salvage their dream extension. Carol has received amended drawings. Shane and Marie now face a nervous wait as their new proposal is considered.
Got a new application in, but it's a joint one. The issue before was the loss of light and the sense of enclosure, but because the neighbour also wants to extend out, there'll be no loss of light to that room because they're both bringing it forward. It is unusual to have a joint one like this. I think this is the first one that I've dealt with, actually. But I'll need to visit the site because I've only been and assessed it as a single extension to number 19. So I need to have another look and just make sure there's nothing that I've missed there.
With such a unique application, Carol has to be extremely thorough. This second inspection will have a huge bearing on whether Shane and Marie get approval for their dream kitchen diner.
Hello, Carol. Hello,
How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Come in.
Right, last time I was looking at the dormer, but the dormer extension hasn't changed, as I can see from this. So that's fine. So there's no impact on your neighbour because obviously this habitable room, that's going to be part of the room, and they're having a door here. So there's no loss of light from yours to theirs or theirs to yours, which is great.
So what happens next then, Carol?
I'll be writing my report up. Probably won't be this week, probably next week. So you should hear by maybe the end of next week.
Okay.
All right, is that okay? That's lovely. Thanks for showing me again.
Thank you. Fingers crossed it's going to go straight through, but until we actually get that definite yes, there's always that chance something might crop up. So we're hopeful, but we've just got to wait for that final decision.
Sometimes I think I can be maybe a little bit soft and maybe spend too much time on a planning application because try to sort it out for people. But I've got to write my report yet, and mine is only a recommendation. The actual decision is down to the senior planners if there's no objections.
Carol sounds more positive, but that doesn't mean it's going to be plain sailing for the Doves. With this double extension, Hastings senior planners will be careful to consider all of the potential impacts before making the final decision. In Coventry, the Carmichaels haven't had the benefit of a joint application, so Richard has to reflect on whether their standalone extension will be detrimental to their neighbours.
My concern was whether this patio window that they had here would be effectively hemmed in by the two extensions. So they'd look out of the patio window. On the left, they'd have their own kitchen extension that was already there. And then on the right, they'd then have this wall of the proposed extension. And it was that feeling of them being hemmed in.
Having weighed up the issue, Richard has made his decision, and Paul and Paula are about to find out whether they'll get the planning permission they desperately want.
Here.
Oh, okay.
Are you ready?
Moment of truth.
You ready for this, Dexter? It's an important letter.
Have a look.
Coventry City Council, as local planning authority, grant permission for the development proposed in your application.
Fantastic.
Yeah, that's really good.
The Carmichaels have a yes. Richard decided the generous width of their neighbour's home meant tunnelling wasn't an issue.
A huge relief. And yeah, we can relax a little bit more now that we've got the news.
Fast forward a few months and the front of Paul and Paula's home is unchanged. But Gordon Bennett, just take a look round the back. What a transformation. Their new extension is close to being everything they ever dreamt of.
I think it's the best decision that we did. It was absolutely the right thing to do, wasn't it?
I think now it seems that it's the right decision, definitely. Now that we can actually see the room as it's going to be, we can tell that it's the space that we wanted, definitely.
In Hastings, Carol was happy with the new plans, but the Doves have still had to wait anxiously for a week whilst the senior planners considered their proposal. They've been told they should hear the decision today.
If we don't get the planning permission today, it's 18 months just to get to this point. A lot of that was, you know, thinking about the plans, how we wanted to have the house, so it's important that we get it through.
Should we give Carol a ring then and see what the decision is?
Yeah. Right, cross your fingers. Fingers crossed.
Oh, hello, Carol. It's Shane. We're just ringing to see if there's any update or if a decision's been made.
Okay, yes, I've completed my report and it was looked at this afternoon by the senior planner and the decision has gone in the post today and I'm pleased to say that it's been approved.
It's great news for the Doves, and just look at Ian go.
Congratulations.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you, Carol.
Thank you! Thank you very much!
don't know if it's the end of the beginning or the beginning of the end, but
Yeah.
it's that bit's now done.
Yeah.
And obviously now with the
Step
really,
2.
yeah, step 2, the next bit now, really, the sort of the chaos bit.
Back over to Coventry, the chaos is finally over for Paul and Paula. After months of work, their dreams have become a reality.
Really, really pleased with the way that the extension's turned out. Really happy.
So this is the new kitchen. So now when I'm washing up, I can look out into the garden. These open doors are just heaven. They're so nice, aren't they? Just to be able to look into the garden, but just to have the air and for them to fold all the way back. It makes the room feel more spacious as well, particularly when you're on the sofa.
So this is the new outdoor area, and because we've got the view of the garden, it actually makes us want to do more within the garden. So within 7 years, it's the first time I've painted the fence. We've done a lot more in the week that we've been here since the 6 years prior to that. So yeah, it makes you take a bit more pride in the garden itself.
Now their home is complete, the Carmichaels have invited Richard over to take a look. And this time, it's a purely social visit.
Hi, Richard.
Hello, how you doing? Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you. Come on in.
Thank you. Cheers. Oh, wow. Look at this. This is so cool. What? I'm just trying to remember how it was before, because this is just such a huge space now.
Yeah.
So different. So this bit here where you were, I was actually outside before. The kitchen, the door,
okay,
the kitchen outside was
and
around
it's
here.
all just squared off this area and added all of this space in. God, it's fantastic.
This is it.
Okay, right. I'll tell you what, I'm going to have a look over here, because one of the things we were concerned about, I don't really remember, was...
Totally.
Yes, that's right, and is it going to impact on the neighbours? So I'm just going to see whether we were right or not.
Please.
Can you, Adam and Eve, it? Do these planners ever switch off?
No problem with that.
Okay.
No, I think that's all okay, yeah. When everything comes together like it has done, it's just, you know, it's really pleasing, you know, as a, you know, employee of the City Council and a public servant, it's just great to see these things work and, you know, for people to get the right result at the end of the day.
It's definitely all been worth it, absolutely. I mean, don't get me wrong, there were some parts in the middle that I thought, what have we done? When you see all the mess and all the builders are here. But absolutely, 100% I would do it all over again.
Paul and Paula have planned it, built it. Paula has her dream kitchen and can watch Dexter playing as she cooks. It's a really desirable home, and the extension will more than repay its building costs. The Doves also hope to get the space they need by the end of the year. Once they've found the right builders, it won't be long before their extension is complete. They'll immediately add 20 grand to the value of their property and more long term. I think it's congratulations all round.